Welcome to Sisters Connect, a podcast that celebrates the amazing sister friends that I admire and who keep me inspired. I'm your host, Kimberly Sumter.
Hi, this is Lady Gray for The Quiet Storm. When you want to be empowered, when you want to be uplifted and spiritually connected, you must lock into Sisters Connect. It's a podcast that you will only love to the fullest.
Thank you so much, Lenny, and thank you for joining me for episode number 54 of the Sisters Connect podcast. Today, I'll be talking to my sister friend, Dr. Julianna Hynes. She's a leadership development strategist, coach, speaker, and author of the book, Living on Purpose, Keys to Discovering Your God-Given Destiny. Today, she's going to give me advice on being a better leader in the workplace. We'll also talk about shifting your thinking from autopilot to a more purposeful and deliberate mindset. Now, it's time to connect. Hey, Dr. Julianna.
Hey, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm wonderfully blessed. Thank you.
So this is our first time meeting. Tell me a little bit about where you're from and the most amazing thing about your hometown.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I grew up in a suburb of San Francisco, right outside of San Francisco. It's called Daly City, and maybe 50,000 people or so, maybe a little bit more. And two things that made Daly City so amazing. Number one was that it was right next door to San Francisco. So we could be in the suburbs and be able to still access the city really easily. But the most important thing I think is amazing about Daly City, what influences how we are, is I grew up in a very multicultural environment. I had friends from, it seems like every background, every race, and we were all friends. You know, we all supported each other. We loved each other. We enjoyed each other. We learned from each other, and we appreciated the differences. And so having that experience really put me in a different space, or when I came into the workforce. And I also have a multicultural family. So, you know, from those perspectives is where I've built a lot of my ideas and who I am as a person. I'll just tell a quick story. I was in Palm Springs with a couple of friends, and this song that is not R&B came on the radio, and they were like, "What is this? You know this song?" And I'm like, "You don't?" So just enjoying different genres of music and food and all of that. It was a really special place to grow up.
You know, it's so funny. We have a lot in common in that because my background was diverse in that the school that I went to was diverse. Mm-hmm. My parents knew and had friends of all different cultures. Yeah. And that's the way that I grew up as well. And I was also someone at the age of 13 who loved Barbra Streisand. Mm-hmm. Don't even ask. I just loved music. Good music to me is good music. So right. I'm totally there with you.
Oh, I love it.
One of the things on my bucket list is I'd love to work for a soft rock station. I think soft rock is the absolute best. I love hip hop. I love R&B.
Me too.
But it's something about soft rock, 80s music that is just,
yes. So we can talk all day about that. Yeah. We'll have to continue the conversation later.
Yes. How would your sister friends describe you?
So I have a group of friends that I grew up with. One, she and I were born in the same hospital 2 days apart, but then I met most in elementary school and the others in junior high school. And we've stayed friends from that point till now. And we call ourselves the crew. We're all in touch constantly throughout the day in a group chat. But I'm struck by the different personalities. We're all not the same. So, you know, one's the comedian, the other's like the mama bear. And they would probably classify me as the dancer and party girl. Love music, love to party, love to have fun. That's how they would classify me. And then if we're not at a party, they just the opposite of that. They probably classify me as the calm one. Not much rattles my feathers.
We had a little conversation before we started to really get into this one. And I was telling you that I was working for myself. I had a small business. I was able to leave a 9-to-5. And then I got an opportunity that I could not pass up working for an amazing nonprofit. And I am now in a leadership role. And it's something different, I think, about being over 50 in a leadership role. Yeah. And I am trying to really navigate that balance because it is very challenging.
First thing, I think work-life balance is a myth. It's more about work-life maintenance. How do you manage, or work-life management, really? How do you manage it all? How do you juggle it all? In addition to my professional career, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I belong to a local church and a leader in the church. And so I have a very full life like everybody else. In terms of career development, there's really this idea that, there's this linear trajectory, but for women, and particularly Black women, and particularly older Black women, that trajectory has never really looked linear. It's more what I've heard it described as a jungle gym. You go up, you go down, you go side, you go all the way back up again. And so it's having an understanding of that process. Also, this is big in the literature, it's big in what people are talking about, but self-care is really, really important. What brings you joy? What gives you a sense of peace? And really, for those that are in leadership, I often ask, when do you have time to think? When do you have time to just sit and be and strategize and process versus just going from meeting to meeting like we all do?
I'm timing myself, putting myself on a timer where it's time to go and get some water. It's time to take a break.
I like that you said you're mindful and you have to build in breaks. I really believe in being intentional. Mm-hmm. And if you go through life and your workday on autopilot, you'll look up and the day is gone. And what have you accomplished? You might have gotten your work done, but have you done anything for you? Have you done anything for your career development, let alone what you have left for your family and friends outside of work? So that idea, I have my Apple Watch, so that reminds me to stand up. Mm-hmm. I'm tracking my workouts, and I try to really covet that time, especially in the mornings. That's where I get centered. I wake up, I read my word, might go work out, go back to prayer and do a little studying, and really just get into my day that way rather than just, grabbing my phone and jumping in right away, which I used to do.
For something that you did say earlier, I feel relieved that work-life balance is a myth because I don't feel so much pressure in that now. So I feel good about that.
Good.
When we're on autopilot, because we have so many things that are happening and where life and home intersect, because now we're integrating our personal lives almost into our work life because we're working from home. Right. How do we balance that?
I was doing that before the pandemic. I am blessed enough to own my own business, and I can set my schedule and decide whether I'm going in to meet with someone or doing it virtually. And so I had a running start on the pandemic before the pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. And so I do a couple of things. Number one, I have a sign on my office door saying, if the door is closed, don't come in. And I have older kids. So thankfully for me and my husband, our kids, the youngest is 16. So when they see that door shut, they know not to come in. I also do set boundaries around my time. I still got to pick my daughter up and drop her off at school. So I make sure I don't schedule meetings during that time. So I'm not, which I didn't do today. I was on a conference call while I was dashing out to go get her, but I felt so frazzled. Even now, just coming into this conversation, I had to just take a moment to breathe because we overload our schedule. So the best thing I can say is setting those boundaries and really honoring them, committing to them, sticking to them for yourself. Sometimes it might require accountability. So finding someone that can hold you accountable is also helpful.
I love that. Yeah. I also find too that I do have a little bit of an issue with my confidence. Sometimes I have to kind of straighten myself up a little bit and just kind of give myself a self-talk. What do you think we can do to start to boost our confidence, especially women of color, whether they're in leadership or they're not in leadership in the workplace?
Yeah, certainly what you're talking about, having affirmations and encouraging yourself. I love quotes. So reading a quote, or for me, reading a scripture, anything that reminds me of who I am and what I'm capable of. And it's also nice to have cheerleaders. So someone that you can text or call, ask for prayer, or say, hey, I need a little pick me up. and also getting feedback from people, depending on what space you're in. If I'm in a space that I'm not feeling very confident, I'm not going to ask for constructive feedback at that time. I'm going to ask, what do you see as my strengths? And I use that to build me up. And truly what builds our confidence is to just do it. We just got to act confident even when you're not feeling confident. And that requires courage. So it doesn't mean that confidence isn't there or that confidence is truly there, but you're building that up within you, kind of like building a muscle, and the more you build that muscle and get comfortable with these reminders of the strong, beautiful Black woman you are, with others in your corner that are going to hold you up when you can't hold yourself up, all of that culminates in building that confidence.
So you said earlier that you have actually been working from home pre-COVID because you have your own business. Tell me a little bit about the type of women that you serve in your business.
Oh my goodness, yes. So I'm an executive coach, and I work with primarily Black women business leaders. So those that are in corporate, pretty much leadership, middle management, trying to or have a goal to advance their careers. So they're driven, they have what some would call the technical competency. And those that I work with usually don't know what they don't know. So they're like, I want to get here. I want to do a good job. I want to be this amazing leader, but I don't know where to go, what to do, how to do it. And so as their coach, I sit down and really not tell them what to do, but pull out of them, what is the goal? What are they trying to accomplish? And usually it's a behavioral goal. So communication, executive presence, influence. And once we establish what the goal is and what that can look like or what it will look like at the end of us working together, we just back into it and say, okay, what are some of the steps you need to take in order to get there? And we're meeting every other week so that the accountability piece is there. So something that's very common is sometimes women aren't comfortable speaking up in meetings, especially if they're in a room full of dominant men. And at the same time, in order to be known and in order for someone to say, I think she can do this next job, you have to be visible, which requires you speaking up. So we just brainstorm, how can she do that? We might role play, or she'll say, okay, let me go try. And then she comes back and how did it go? And we look at what went well and what she wants to repeat and what, if anything, because sometimes they just blow it out of the water and it was that fear holding them back. But if there's something else, what didn't go well, okay, what can you do different next time? I create that safe space for them to be able to explore and think about how they want to go about getting to that next level without fear of judgment or shame or consequence of them not knowing the answer. Yeah. So if I was coaching you, I'd ask you some questions like, who do you have relationships with? Who knows you really well at work? I know when I was growing up, I was taught you keep work and home or personal separate. Don't tell them you're a single mother. Don't tell them you have a baby. That has us leaving a whole part of ourselves at the door. And so that's how I came up and how I was told to behave in the workplace. However, being in the workplace and wanting to influence and assert yourself, people have to get to know you. And I'm not saying tell them every secret that you have, but the more they get to know you, the more they will have a better understanding of your behaviors and why you're saying that this needs to be done this way. They know that you care. They know that you have their best interests at heart. You've taken that time to invest in those relationships.
Relationships with each person that you work with is different in the way that you approach them, especially if you are in leadership. Sure. What are ways that women can connect with you? And do you only work with women who are in leadership roles?
Great question. No, I don't only work with women leaders and particularly Black women leaders. And the reason why, because I firmly believe that if some of the leaders that we work with that are on the top of our list of horrible leaders or leaders you would never want to work with again, had they learned the lessons that people are learning through the coaching with me, Imagine how much more of an impactful leader they could be if they had better emotional intelligence, if they knew how to talk to people, if they knew how to help develop people. And so I enjoy teaching leaders of all kinds how to be stronger leaders, and then also working with leaders at all levels, which doesn't necessarily mean they have to have the title as leader. It's really about how they carry themselves, how they present themselves, and even individual contributors can be leaders, even if they don't have that power or authority. So I really enjoy working with a diversity of leaders. I think often those in middle leadership or even first-time leaders really have an opportunity to refine, because oftentimes we're promoted because of our technical capabilities. Whatever that technology is that you're working on. Technical might be you're an engineer. Technical might be you're a nurse. Technical might be that you're an attorney. That's your technical expertise. Often in school, and I would say not even often, probably never, are we taught how to work with people other than being on a team and having to figure it out for ourselves. So that's my long answer to your question. And in terms of getting in touch with me, I would love anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn, Julianna Hynes. It comes up as Dr. Julianna Hynes. I also have a website, juliannahynes.com. And if you go on the website, I have a gift for anyone that goes on there. And it's an ebook that they can download as a result of plugging their information in, joining the newsletter, and then getting in touch with me. And then lastly, if anyone wants a free strategy session, a 30-minute conversation about what they're doing, what are they trying to do, whether coaching would be a right tool for them to use to achieve their goals, on my contact page on my website, they can sign up for a 30-minute strategy session.
Well, I will definitely put that information in the show notes and also on the Sisters Connect website as well, so that we can reach out to you. Free is always good. But Thank you so much, Dr. Julianna. I definitely will personally be in contact with you. Please. And I am wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. And it was a joy to talk with you today, Kim.
Hey sis, thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation. If you want to get more information on today's guest or our previous guests, make sure you visit our website at sistersconnect.com. Until next time, see you soon. Bye.